Greetings and welcome listeners and viewers to the What podcast, brought to you by the FAMU College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences Institute of Public Health, that we affectionately refer to as the CoPPS, IPH, Pharmacy Public Health. And I am your host for this podcast, Dr. Ola Sheffield, bringing you greetings also as relates to what? Wellness, healthcare, advocacy, and transparency. This keeps the name What in front of you, our viewers and listeners. We're emphasizing guidance and transparency as relates to truth in healthcare and education. And who more than to bring it to the forefront than my sister girl here today, Dr. Bridg'ette Israel, who is an associate professor of pharmaceutics with research interests in the pharmaceutical and biomedical sciences, drug delivery, emphasizing transdermal delivery systems. Yeah, she gonna break that down, as well as diabetic wound healing here in the FAMU CoPPS IPH. But today we have her here as the dynamic director of the 5 years running now the Emerging Pharmacists Summer Camp right here at FAMU on the main campus in Tallahassee. Dr. Israel, welcome today and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed, I'm excited about this upcoming camp in July, about 5 weeks away. But would you give our listeners just a background on why you are here in terms of your role in pharmaceutics over in the East Wing, what you do with research and teaching and so forth?
And so I started at FAMU in 2010. And so I came here as a visiting professor on the RCMI grant. And then 2 years later, I earned a tenure track position. And I also go to Crestview as well to teach their pharmaceutics lab. And in that, myself and one of our former counselors in student services, Ms. Jefferson, we talked about having an opportunity for students to be exposed to pharmacy earlier in their academic career, like students that would be rising 10th graders, someone that was old enough to enjoy or kind of decipher the material and handle being on campus, because we wanted them to have a full campus experience. So the students would live in the dorm, they would eat in the dining hall, and then we would have some special activities. We have etiquette dinner one of the nights that they're here. They typically enjoy the bowling alley, because we have a bowling alley on FAMU's campus, which is one of our first day activities that they enjoy. And then we have an opportunity for the students to interact with our pharmacy students. So all of our camp counselors are pharmacy students.
Great.
And then we have graduates of our program who would come here and share things that they do in the different areas of pharmacy that they work in.
Okay.
And of course myself as a director, but since I'm also one of the professors in the pharmaceutics lab in our academic curriculum, I lead them in different experiences in the lab. So last year we did medicated lollipops, and we did ointment preparation for acne. So the students really liked some of the things that they can do that allow them to use something, but prepare something that they can also use.
Absolutely.
And so that's something that really intrigues them. We also try to do other little things, just keeping in contact with them, kind of tracking them to see where they end up. We've had a couple of students who have attended multiple years in a row. So their goal is to join us here as pre-professional students in the fall. We have 2 of them that will be attending FAMU in the fall.
Ooh,
so
yeah.
We're making progress. We are definitely wanting to change the scope of the type of students that we have. Not that there's anything wrong, but definitely emphasizing the fact that the student population, they can have a great impact on their peers. So if we are able to lead what that demographic looks like, what type of student that is academically, when they have that exposure, they have also opportunities to work with one of the best youth that deals with SAT prep, and she comes and does a session with them as well during the camp.
Great.
So that, gets them interested in all of the things that they need to do to qualify for coming to a university, as well as getting some of those scholarship opportunities as well. So we try to look at the whole student, because we realize that in many cases students have, other things that they have to deal with to become a student on a university campus.
Absolutely. Well, that, is in a nutshell what it's all about. But again, fast forwarding to this 5th year, but in its infancy, if you will, like in the beginnings, how was it in terms of being able to recruit students to the camp? And, how has that hopefully, gone forth and become greater and maybe easier, so to speak, to get persons to enroll?
Well, I think the first 2 years, I know the very first year, first 2 years, Ms. Jefferson was the camp director, but I was always the instructor for the labs.
Okay.
So working with her during that time, it was COVID. So everybody was very excited about having the camp, and then COVID happened.
Right.
So we had to go from what we envisioned as our inaugural camp to something that was going to be in person to something that was going to be strictly online.
Wow.
So we had seminars online where they tapped into Zoom. We mailed each student their individual lab packet, so they had some things that they could work in their kitchen. So we had like a kitchen lab. Everything was tailored to them completing the exercises at home.
How innovative.
And so we would come online with the students, and we would walk them through the exercises as they did them in their kitchen. So many of the students definitely enjoyed it, and then when we were able to come in person, it was awesome.
Yes.
Like to see the kids' faces light up when they were doing various assignments, seeing something work. And then of course you have those moments where we are learning. So we definitely recognize, especially with the research process, a lot of kids have this fear of messing up. And so therefore in that environment we have to encourage them that it's okay. We'll do it again until you get it right. And so it helps them to learn something from those mistakes instead of feeling ashamed that the mistake happened.
Indeed, because we all know that failure is not final.
No.
That we can fail forward to even more success.
Oh, yeah.
And so successful it is. I know you work with our university's continuing education in terms of how this is, promoted and what have you with Dr. Phyllis Watson and the crew, what have you. But, how does this tie in potentially to continuing pharmacy education units for not so much the campers, but anyone who may be involved with you and the rest of the staff as it relates to advancing their careers?
Well, I'm sure that I think the reason why it's housed there is because it's one of those components and things that they are interested in overseeing, primarily because there are certain requirements that you have to have in order to be involved with a summer camp, as far as various screenings and trainings that we have to go through with background, CPR. All of those things are a component that have to be cleared through their department before we can say we are an active summer camp. Especially when you have students that will live on campus. Also, when we look at some of our pharmacy alumni, that they could assist in the process of being a presenter. That's definitely something that they can do as far as continuing ed, as well as allowing them to showcase some of those talent skills or their private businesses, because some of the interactions that we've had with some of our alum is that some people have gone into various areas of pharmacy and either they own a pharmacy, or we have one who was alumni from our program that is a pharmacist, but he's also a dentist. So now he has a private practice in dentistry. So just allowing the students to see the different paths that they could take as they embark upon a career or just pharmacy education.
Indeed, and we know exposure can bring closure, but we're still open, I believe, as relates to registration for this year's camp. Would you tell our audience about that in terms of where registration is and what they can do now for someone to be involved?
So if you go to FAMU's continuing education page and you look for summer camps and you follow that tab, you'll see the 2025 Emerging Pharmacists Summer Camp, and it's still open. We do close out the day before camp starts, but the earlier the better, because of course we want to make sure we have the right t-shirt size and things of that nature to make sure the student is accommodated appropriately. But we only have 10 slots left. So if you are interested, the cost is $650, and we do have a couple of payment plans also, so you don't have to pay it all at one time. But if you go online and you see that, you can go through that process of filling out the application and paying the camp fee. And that camp fee does cover meals for every day. It covers housing and all lab expenses expenses and activities.
Okay, and I was about to go there, but she already tapped into my brain cells. So, but with that $650 investment, in terms of the potential and the actual return on the investment, where have you seen this camp go? And again, what gives you the fuel for the fire, if you will, as relates to this is year 5? You know, grace is sufficient, but I've seen you running around with these campers from 10th to 12th grade. They're like woo woo woo. So, you know, what energizes you for this most?
Well, primarily for me, I realized that to see it changes something about your perspective. So I say all the time that in order to be it, you have to see it. And for me, being a young person in Savannah, Georgia, a lot of my family members were teachers, not so much in the science field, but it was something to where my parents always gave me the opportunity to go to different camps and things. I had an awesome science teacher, and those are the things that really make me know that in order for us to fuel that next generation of scientists, we have to find them. Because a lot of times the kids don't necessarily know what they want until they see it. And then it's like they have that aha moment. And in that moment, we can capture them and allow them to see all of the great things that they can do with this degree. Because it's not just being in a retail setting. It's not just being in a hospital. You could be someone who's interested in pharmacy but wants to be on the research side like I am. And that would require you having a PhD. So giving them this opportunity to see pharmacy in a way that they can, you know, have their hands on it,
Right.
it does something to the student and allows them to learn something in a different fashion. And I think the earlier that they have this experience, then they can think. Because I always tell them to, you know, have some time for self-reflection. How well are you doing in those science and math classes? So now this
Reality check.
Yeah, it may be the time when we have to say, okay, when you were kind of like just seeing your way through, now we want to really sit down and
No
focus.
longer an option.
Yeah. So if you really want to do this and this seems like something that you want to focus on, now is the time to start doing that work. Because we don't want to wake up senior year of high school and say, I want to apply to college, and now we don't get in anywhere. And so, you know, we want to just direct them in the right way. But I really love it because to me, it's no other way, and I guess it may be seen as a selfish thing, but for me, it's no other way for me to live forever unless I create a legacy of little me's. And so for me to know that I have to find young people that are interested in pharmacy or get them interested in pharmacy to create that legacy, I think that's something I'm willing to do until I can't do it anymore.
And she is doing it, and she does it well. I mean, she can even sing them up in here, and we'll get to that if time allows. But I know some of the students out there will come, you know, from Florida. Of course, we're here at FAMU in Tallahassee, but Georgia and, you know, as far as Puerto Rico. Would you tell us about, you know, these populations that represent, you know, different geographical locations?
And a lot of the students that are coming from far distances, they may be a child of an alum that's not from our pharmacy program, but just from FAMU. And so when they see FAMU's name, they say, "Oh, I have to send my child there." They have to see about what's going on at that camp. And people are making financial investments into their children because it's not just a little bit of money, and we recognize that, and that's why we want to have a quality. excuse me, want to have a quality program because we want it to be worth every penny that they're spending, because we know the impact in this economy that it is definitely an investment. So we have students that have come from different places: Virginia, as you mentioned, Puerto Rico, Georgia, Florida, and we have a couple this year that are coming from, I think it's a brother and sister, that are coming from Kentucky. So we have a lot of different people that they hear about it and they want to send their children here, and especially from some of the campers that have already been here.
Exactly.
They are telling family members and friends.
Tools.
Yeah, always. And so they're letting other people know that they had a wonderful experience and that they should try it out when their child becomes of age. And so for that reason, we're thankful that we have people who are willing to speak on our behalf and reach places that we never thought we could.
No better advertisement than word of mouth.
Yeah.
And nothing succeeds like success. And it makes me ask you, Dr. Israel, as it relates to, again, that $650 investment that you mentioned and that different payment plans, but are there also some sponsors that
Well,
the
we
camp
have a
has?
few from Title III.
Okay.
And so if that is a thing that you're really interested in, you can reach out to me. My information is there, Bridg'ette.Israel at FAMU.edu, and you can send me an email and of course put in the subject that is referencing the camp, and then we can talk offline and have those discussions to see what type of assistance can be provided for their student.
Absolutely, because where there's a will, there is a way.
There's a way.
And the way is fast approaching. Again, the camp is coming up in less than 5 weeks now. And in terms of some of the students that are coming this year, are they mostly 10th graders, juniors,
so
seniors
we
in
have
high
a
school?
mixture. I think it's a good mix. Right now we do have 21 students that are paid and registered, and with those students I think we have 11 young ladies and 9 men. So right now we have it almost 50-50, and so they're from a variety of places, but most of them are Florida, and then we have a few that are Georgia and a few that the family in Kentucky.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And if you will also just speak to the staff, because I mean she can be a one-woman operation. I've seen her recruiting for the faculty, senate, and so forth. But again, with your staff, would you just speak to how much a part they play? And I'm thinking especially because of the on-campus housing and everything that goes along with that.
And so with that part, I'm with them all day, but then of
Bless
course
your heart.
we have the camp counselors who will stay with them at night. So we have 2 male counselors, we have 2 female counselors, so they'll be with them, and if we get to our 30, we'll add an additional person. But then
When we get to our 30.
Yes. When we get to our 30, we'll add that other additional person, but then we also have some volunteers for the camp to be counselors that are with them during the day. And so when we get on our informational Zoom call with the parents and the campers and the camp counselors, we will introduce them to the group as well. But we have a good staff because we try our best to make sure that the students are covered, they have what they need, they're also protected and guided through this process, because this is going to be something extremely new, because we do have a few that are in the 10th grade, and then of course we have maybe I would say 60% of our group that's either rising juniors and seniors.
Got you. And the dates of the camp again, please?
July 13th through the 16th.
Okay.
So they come in and they check in on that 13th, which is a Sunday, and then we have a fun day of introductions and activities that evening, and then we get straight to work Monday morning, and we don't stop until Wednesday.
Indeed, and I've seen them. Now, will you be singing to them and doing? No.
Yeah.
This is another talent, so she may burst forth and just come out in song. But that brings us to the personal side, if you will, of our associate professor in pharmaceutics and the director of this program. I've heard you sing, and truly, you can sing the house down. And so when I see the flower, I'm like, I know there's got to be some symbolism there. So would you share with our audience, the flower power that you exude?
And it's funny that you say that, because one of my colleagues and mentor, the late Dr. Saber Saman, he always said I was the one with the flower, so I had the power. Being the first and only female in the pharmaceutics division, and I joined in 2010, wearing my flower became a thing because I went natural shortly after I joined the faculty here at FAMU. So I went through that transformation, and I wanted something. I didn't know what to do with it, and I just wanted something that would allow me to feel like I was put together. And so as I got used to my natural hair in its natural state, I wanted to give it a little color, because my hair was jet black at the time, so I'm kind of aging myself, because if you look a little closer,
gracefully,
I get a little
and
something.
gratefully.
Yes, it's in there. It's not as jet black.
Wisdom, y'all, wisdom.
It's not as jet black as it was when I came here, but at the same time, I loved wearing the flowers, and it just kind of gave me a little pop of color, a little personality. And I even happened to go back through some family photos, and I found one where my mom had put a flower in my hair when I was a baby. So I was just like, okay,
Mama knows best.
yes, I'm going back to where it all started. So I kept my flower, and now I've worn a flower so much till when I don't wear a flower, people ask me, "Are you okay?
What's wrong?
Is everything all right?" And so I make sure I keep my flower because I love the little different colors, and sometimes I buy flowers before I have anything to wear with them, just in case. So I definitely love the flower. I sing because I'm from a singing family, and yes, I am also happy. But I sing because it was something that we always did in my family, and we continue to do. My parents sing, my siblings sing, and so it's something that we do whenever we get together. And so I really enjoy singing, and every time I can be on a program with the College of Pharmacy, I will always accept, just because I just want to, share that my gift, but also share the joy that it gives me to sing in various environments. So it's definitely a joy that I have that I enjoy sharing.
Indeed. And you never know, right here on the set of the What podcast, I think we have the acoustics. She might take us out in a song. You never know. But truly, the award ceremony and the oath and hooding ceremony here in the CoPPS IPH, I've seen her, I've heard them, like she shifts the entire atmosphere. And speaking of shifting, if you will, that transdermal delivery of, dosages of drugs, if you will, to speak to that, because I'm going specifically as it relates to our international impact. And I do know that last year, some of the compounding that went on during the Emerging Pharmacists Summer Camp traveled across the Atlantic Ocean to benefit some of our neighbors there in Africa. Would you speak to that, please?
Oh, yes. And so in that process, we were invited by Dr. Richard Mitchell to compound vapor rub for some of their infant patients overseas, and it was definitely a great experience for myself and the students, because for them to know some of the things that they were able to put together under our guidance was going to make an impact in another country. I mean, definitely thinking about the kids that are over there, and something as small as vapor rub was allowing them to recover from colds much faster and safely, when we think about all of the things that we do. So my original research interest was more so a generic wound healing. Then my last year, my PhD program, my grandmother, she died of complications to diabetes, which had to do with her wound not healing. And so that gave me a specific interest as it pertained to diabetic wound healing, as I continue to do my research in her memory.
Absolutely. And we do know that some of the impacts and influences that the research team, if you will, of the FAMU CoPPS IPH are even more far-reaching. Some closing thoughts, if you will, Dr. Israel, in terms of, again, how persons can get in touch with you, and anything else that you'd like to sing us out, take us out with, would be greatly appreciated. No pressure.
Well, definitely email is the best way to contact me, which is Bridg'ette.Israel@FAMU.edu. Also, if you want to call my office, I would suggest that you email me. But the office phone number is 850-599-3637. And I hope that if we don't see you and your young person at the camp in 2025, that if you consider us and you get in contact with us, I hope to still be the camp director, and even not, I'll be able to point you in the right direction for the 2026 Emerging Pharmacists Summer Camp.
Indeed. I wish that she would burst out in song, and she may just do that. But in the meantime, in reaching her, and you can also reach her through me, you can contact me at ola.sheffield@famu.edu, or call me at 850-412-5110. I'll hunt her down. No, I'll find her and ask her to get in touch with you. Of course, log on to pharmacy.famu.edu and follow us on social media. Be sure to like, and share, and, maybe just a little hum of something you think in closing, Dr. Israel, please, and thank you.
I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the
with that said, stay healthy, wealthy, and wise, but not in your own eyes. Our guest today, Dr. Bridg'ette Israel. Thank you so kindly.